A new piece of legislation was introduced in the United States Congress House of Representatives. Now, the bill, if passed, would make the U.S. mandated to take a stand against South Africa as it opposes the Republic's hosting of military exercises with China and Russia. China, Russia, Ukraine, and the United States all have a history with the Republic of South Africa, which dates back decades and has resulted in numerous land, sea, and air exercises. However, none have been as contentious as Mosi II, as it coincided with the first anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So if this bill is passed, what exactly will it mean for the Republic of South Africa? Well, security expert Jasmine Opperman joins us on the line now to explore the possibilities. Jasmine, thank you very much for your time this morning. Firstly, let's start with what the bill seeks to achieve.
Ziana, good morning. Good morning to your viewers. I think we just need to stand back here. This bill was submitted by 6 Republicans. It still has to go through the whole legislative process up to the Senate. If it then gets approved, it must go to the President, and even the President has the authority to veto the bill. So we're sitting with a Democratic-Republican politics at play. Do I foresee this bill actually becoming legislation? I doubt seriously. If one looks at the bill, there is direct interference into the domestic situation of South Africa and trying to redirect South Africa to stand more aligned with the U.S. and how they perceive international environment at this point in time. If though it is passed, all it will do, it will strengthen our relations with Russia, with China, and China is being viewed as the #1 threat to the U.S. sovereignty by themselves. So the whole process initiated, I think, merely reflects a general concern within the United States in terms of our standing, or the government standing, vis-à-vis China and Russia and Ukraine.
Now, Jasmine, even though you don't see this making the light of day, it has caught the attention of some people, or some sectors of society in South Africa, rather, which are concerned that the country may face some sort of trade or investment retaliation. What are the chances?
I think there's already pressure on the South African government if one wants to look at how the U.S. will further its interest or trying to influence the South African government. It definitely lies at economic level. The free trade agreement initiated by America has had tremendous benefits for South Africa. So it is how South African government will play this as not to be excluded to these benefits in terms of our economy, which desperately needs investment, will be the key factor. But at the end of the day, I think it's clear where we stand, or where the South African government stands, and it will have to come down to how to make sure that we retain these benefits, irrespective of our position at the UN Security Council.
Which is something that the President, even this week, touched on, right? Calling on the Security Council to reform. And I would naturally assume that would mean representation from at least a country on the African continent. And so we all have a right to self-determination, and our nation is no exception to the rule. South Africa has made it clear they're not aligned, or they've chosen the non-alignment movement option. So when we speak of economic benefits, the President also spoke of the African Continental Free Trade Area Act, something that Uganda's Yoweri Museveni says should not just be a theatrical concept, right? It should be something that should be enforced. And so, yes, we are not an island. But should we not also be looking at unlocking the potential that we have on the continent to avoid such?
I do agree with you. I think that there's one harsh reality in the international politics, is that each position you take have consequences. And needless to say, our relationship with America is not exactly all glory and roses, but what are the alternatives on the African continent? What are the opportunities that South Africa can tap into is to make it less vulnerable to international pressure, as we are seeing from the United States. You are right, we are a sovereign country. We've even held military exercises with the United States themselves. So clearly, yeah, it's about positioning. It's about walking a tightrope and seeking avenues that will diminish the influence and the economic dynamics at play in which we are left vulnerable. And the answer to that is not to be caught up in this international positioning we are seeing currently around Ukraine, around Russia, around China, but finding those alternatives on this continent to the benefit of the continent and to the people of South Africa.
Yeah, and that would include not going cap in hand to the likes of the United States, whether it be for the just energy transition or whatever, because whomever sponsors you also dictates the terms. I guess that will be a conversation with an economist. But Jasmine, thank you very much for your time. Unfortunately, that's all we can afford this morning.